So what brought you to advocating for vape and snus?
So I was working in the British Parliament for 7 years, and I became a snus user myself. I was a smoker when I lived in China, and I flew home via Sweden, and I picked up some snus and started using it. I thought, this is great. And then realised it was illegal. And I'm very much a believer that people should be free to do as they please, as long as they don't harm others. So I started campaigning and pushing for that, and then I became very interested in vaping, because snus being illegal, it was very hard to get hold of in the UK. So when I couldn't get hold of snus to prevent the smoking, I vaped.
Everybody in North America that vapes looks to England for it being so progressive, for the lack of a better word. What is going on? Is it still as progressive as it always seemed to be?
I think we're in a good position. Leaving the European Union has left us in a strong position, because the European Union was always keener to have more laws and regulation on vaping. They're talking now about taxing it, they're talking about banning flavours, and we've stepped away from that. So we're maintaining the laws as they are. I personally don't think that's enough to achieve our goals of a smoke-free future, smoke-free 2030, that's the government's aim. We actually need to go further. We need to make sure more of the public are aware of vaping and that it's safer. 60% of smokers in the UK think vaping is as dangerous, or they don't know whether vaping is safer. And we need to change that.
Were you a member of Parliament, or were you just working?
No, I was a researcher for a member of Parliament, yeah. And I don't know what's like in America, but there were many projects I was involved in, and then I worked for was very happy for us to work on issues which are important to our country and find our own interests. But I worked across all sorts of issues, one being legalisation of medical cannabis. I was involved in the team that legalised medical cannabis in the UK. But anything from safe standing in our football stadiums. So that's illegal in the UK to stand in a football stadium, and we want to find a way where we can allow that, but in a safe manner. So it's an odd subject, but I would get involved in all sorts. I was one time involved in the ashes of, very sadly, babies that pass away, and how we can make sure families get hold of those ashes. And so I became, in a short space of time, very engrossed in the law around ashes, which is...
It just feels like nanny state everywhere you go these days.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And I think we've got to be careful. I'm an advocate for vaping, I'm an advocate for snus and nicotine pouches, harm reduction, but I'm also a believer in liberty. I always try and make sure I don't forget that, because I feel that a lot of the people that want to stop people smoking, some of those people, they actually, once they've achieved that, they'll just come for vapers like me.
What is this all-party parliamentary committee?
So it's an all-party parliamentary group. MPs in Parliament, backbench MPs that are not part of government, can get together and they can decide to talk about issues and campaign on issues as a formal group. And in order to have that group, you need to have members from all sides of the aisle.
There was a time, maybe it was when David Cameron was Prime Minister, that it seemed to be a lot more positive toward vaping. I mean, has it changed in the government in the last couple of years? I know Boris has been caught vaping recently.
I don't think that it's changed. I just think that the lack of confidence in stating that vaping is safe for smoking. But they're still keen on e-cigarettes. There's a recent parliamentary question about COP9, and the government affirmed that it would stand up for the record of e-cigarettes in the UK to reduce smoking. But interestingly, it didn't say it would stand up for harm reduction as a whole. And that's frustrating, because consumers need what I call a smorgasbord of options. Vaping works for a lot of people, doesn't work for everyone. Heat not burn is an option for people that vaping doesn't work for. Swedish snus is an option, and also nicotine pouches. And we need to raise public awareness, we need to make sure they're available to the public, and by doing that, we can achieve our goals of a safer public.
Do you think that harm reduction has some negative, components to it that might be hard for the public to embrace?
I don't think they're negative. I mean, I would say the issue we have with harm reduction is getting that message across. I often talk about sex because it's much easier for people to understand. If you, and as some people did earlier in the 20th century, told people sex is dangerous, don't have sex, basically prohibitionists. And that doesn't work, because we're all going to have sex. So what you do is you try and make sex safer. You use condoms and contraception. And this is the exact same philosophy when it comes to smoking. Just telling people don't do something isn't going to work, but offer them a safer way of doing it, and they will.
Are you aware of how much the rest of the world, specifically North America, looks towards England in terms of your policies? I mean, they put a lot of hope into what happens here. So if you go down, the rest of the world is forget.
Yeah, absolutely. It's important we maintain Britain as a figurehead, because if you lose it's almost like a scientific study, right, in a country. In the same way Sweden's been a scientific study with Swedish snus, you can clearly see the data, the lowest smoking-related illnesses in the whole of Europe because of Swedish snus use. So we need Britain to show the world that it works. But I'm very keen to come to America and speak to the Americans about it. I think part of the reason for that is we have a whole government department because of our National Health Service. For all its faults, they gain if people stop smoking. Other countries don't have that. In Britain, smoking actually brings in more tax than it costs NHS, our health service, but the department's separate to the Treasury, and so it's been campaigning to try and reduce its costs.